Okay, this is part two of the Triumph 1965 Triumph TR-4, and I want to remind you that we're going to look at the engine compartment here. The engine is a 2138 cc or 2.1 liter, 100 horsepower, 126 foot-pounds of torque, four-cylinder overhead push-rod engine. Okay, so the cameraman is going to zoom in a little bit, and I'll just show you some of the components of the engine here. Starting up in the front, of course, we got the radiator. You can see we don't have a giant radiator. These cars were never known to be overheating, and I never had trouble with overheating in this car. This is one of the horns. It has dual horns. Okay, coming back here, this is the distributor, and the distributor is mechanically timed. It has a vacuum advance on the distributor for fine-tuning of the distributor. This is the oil dipstick here. This is the coil that sends the charge to the four sparking plugs that you can see on this side of the engine. Okay, looking down, we see the oil filter down here and this green thing down here. It's a steel canister over a paper filament. The fuel comes up through this fuel line into a fuel sediment bowl. This is a glass bowl that any particles in the fuel can settle out of. And this is a mechanical fuel pump that pumps fuel up. This is the fuel line, goes into the carburetors on the far side. Coming back this way, you see where the battery sits up in the middle of the car, right up against the firewall. And I added this fiberglass box just to keep battery acid off the metal. This is the hydraulics right here. The large master cylinder here is for the brakes, and the small master cylinder is for the clutch. So we have a hydraulic clutch in this car. This little box here is the windscreen wiper motor, and this is the bottle for the windscreen fluid for the washers. I'm going to walk around the other side of the car now, and we'll talk about the carburation. This car is equipped with twin Zenith Stromberg 175 CD carburetors. It has a crankcase rebreather system to help control pollution, so any crankcase gases come out through this pipe and get drawn in to the carburetor and then get reburned in the engine, as you can see. Now, one of the tricks about the dual carburetor system is, as everybody knows, is synchronization. And you can see the rods which connect these two carburetors, and the main throttle is here. You can see how that turns when I step on the accelerator. It's fairly easy, actually, to coordinate and synchronize these two carburetors. These air filters actually are replacements. They're not the originals, which were steel gauze. I put in these because they're a lot more effective in removing dirt and dust from the air, and they're just sponge, and they just can be washed out and replaced. That's a pretty simple operation. So carburetors being a big thing, I've rebuilt these carburetors any number of times. They're fairly easy to do. You buy a kit, replace seals, and put them back together and retune it up. So that's the engine compartment right now. Now, one other thing I want to mention to you is you can see that these carburetors, the way they hang on the intake manifold here, rest fairly high in the engine compartment. So as I close the engine compartment, you're going to see on the top this functional bump, which is typical of the Triumphs, and that actually is the cover that goes over those twin carburetors. Now, I know that what you really want to know is, does this car run? You'd like to know what it sounds like, so I'm going to start it up for you right now. Better when it's hot, and it runs a lot better when you're out on the highway with some air coming through the across the engine to keep it cool. But it's idling now at about 750 RPMs. I think that's pretty nice for a 44-year-old car. I'm going to take it on up here to 3,000 RPMs. Okay, we're idling about 800 RPM. Anyway, it runs pretty good. It should. The engine was rebuilt not more than about 8,000 miles ago, but that was 1986. So anyway, this completes part 2 of the Triumph 1965 Triumph TR-4. Thank you.